he's in it. Oh my God. Watch the movie. I'm not even going to ruin it for you. And I can't wait to tell you my favorite part at the end. So,
I'm sure I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's with the two brothers. You'll figure it out. You'll definitely figure it out. That's awesome. What else was I going to tell you? There was something else I wanted to tell you.
I don't know. What's new?
That's it, man. Grinding.
Love it. How's how the practice is going?
Good.
Yeah.
Growing in the midst of all this nonsense, but
No, it's awesome, man.
I know when people realize their health is in their nervous system. Good.
Yeah.
I like your shirt. That's what I was going to tell you.
Oh yeah, I figured. You've been very consistent. I mean, I think you're 4 for 4 now.
Yeah.
So
I'm a very consistent person.
I was just like, I like to switch things up a little bit. I like a little variety. It's the spice of life.
I don't like to have to think if I don't.
That's too many decisions.
If you hear someone crying, my daughter's exhausted because she did not nap again today and she was at school playing. So I apologize to everybody.
No worries. If you hear someone crying on my end, it's probably just me. So.
Can you see all of me in this thing?
Yeah, you're fine, man. You got that thing right on your face. You're nice and lit up. Beard's coming in nice and strong.
Like an angel.
Something like that. All right, we got like a minute. Start rocking and rolling.
I like it.
Yeah, dude.
It's going to be good.
So, live, so I don't want to give anything away. But, I mean, I texted you before. We got, yeah, I'm going to shut up then. All right, so I'm going to stop you right there, and we're not going
to. Mental control, self-discipline.
I just get excited, man. I just want to go.
I really like the shelf that you have back there.
Thank you.
Behind you. Like every week I look at it, I'm like, I need something like that. This looks like I walked into an Airbnb, or like a staged house. Like, these are my mahogany books that I can read.
Many leather-bound books. My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
I'm going to get a mahogany essential oil and diffuse it in the office.
Dude, don't they have like beard oils and stuff that you can like rub in there? You should do that.
They have tons of beard oils, but I'm like,
Yeah. Not for you?
I don't know. I feel like every time I use them, I'm like, all right, now it looks all shiny. And then if I touch it, I'm like, ugh, it's all over my hand. And I touch my beard like,
that's
10,000 times a day. So, like, if COVID's a real thing, I've had it 50 million times already because this is all I do all day long. So it's like,
I was gonna say I'm really bad about I'm always here or fixing my hair or something. Like I'm touching everything.
Yeah. Good. I'm boosting my immune system. But so I'm like, all right, listen, my ancestors, they grew beards so that they wouldn't have to deal with the harsh weather, and they didn't have razors, so it just happened. Can you imagine how fucking baller their beards were by the time they were? You know what I mean? Like just like dragging on the ground, like no one
status symbol.
I would just assume they had scissors. What?
I don't know. Just take a sharp rock, give the old snip.
Maybe.
All right, man.
The other day.
Go ahead. No. Go. Finish up. Finish your thought.
Well, I saw something the other day. This person took this. I might have sent it to you, but like a depiction of dinosaurs. So he described how, I don't know, archaeologist or whoever draws the dinosaur takes the bones and then the system they have for creating what they believe the dinosaur looks like.
Okay.
And then he took modern animals and then he did that with them.
Okay.
And they look nothing like what they actually look like in real life.
So taking like the fossils or the bones and then like almost trying to like build a puzzle out of them without referencing the box, and then it like comes out completely different.
Well, so it's like the method they use to develop what a dinosaur looks like.
Yeah.
So he took like a pigeon's bones and used that same method, and like it looks nothing like a pigeon or like a chicken or whatever. So then he's like, well, if you use like facts about like how much fat would be on it, and X, Y, and Z, like Tyrannosaurus Rex is like a huge bird. and it just can't walk, it can't fly. It's just running around. It was so
Well, dude, that is actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because I actually, over this whole quarantine thing, I've read the actual Jurassic Park book, and actually gave it to my brother, and we both went in a deep dive of just fucking dinosaurs, man. Yeah, dude, that's now most of them are widely recognized as actually having feathers and running around. It's essentially my brother sent me a picture of an ostrich. He's just this is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Kinda, yeah.
I love it. Can you imagine just seeing Tyrannosaurus Rex as a giant ostrich running around?
Now just imagine a giant ostrich with giant teeth trying to rip you apart. It's terrifying. That's nightmares, man.
Or the bottom of the food chain. Anyways.
All right, it's 8:02, 8:03, whatever time it is. Let's start this shindig. So you gave me homework last time. You gave me a couple questions you wanted me to ask, just to kind of reevaluate, kind of my core values, what makes me tick, so we can kind of take that and then set up this goal setting that we're done. So just real quick recap. We've got the questions, and if anyone listening along did this or wants a refresher, the questions were: what makes you feel most important? What makes you feel the most self-respect? In your past, what accomplishments give you the greatest sense of pride? How did you handle yourself in times of extreme stress? What reputation do you want to have, or write your own obituary? Words people describe you as when you're not there, or how you want them to describe you. How do you want people to respond to you? Your heart's desire, no limits, blank check, whatever you want kind of thing. And then last but not least, describe your ideal self. So do we want to tackle these, one at a time? Do we want to talk about an overall theme, or should I just walk me through it?
It's up to you. I mean, it depends on how much you want to share. So you can literally go through each one at a time. You can go through either the overall theme. We got nothing but time. So whatever you want to do. I think it'd be good for people to hear if you want to go through.
Well, no, dude, I wrote them down. I wrote them down to share. So,
good.
Blank slate. All right. So, question number one: what makes you feel the most important? And so, I'm answering this, from my own personal sense. What makes me feel important? So, with this, I was able to kind of narrow it down to three things. The first one that I came up with was knowledge. So that's kind of number one on what makes me feel most important. The second is strength, and the third is just being great at what I do. And I left that one kind of general because I don't really have one necessarily thing that I want to be great at. If I'm doing it, I want to be great at it, that kind of thing. So do you want me to keep going through, or do you want to take these one question at a time?
I like those. Your strength, when you said strength,
yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So in reference to what? In reference to a relationship, or just overarching? You when you thought about that, right? What made you say strength? Is I guess my question.
Okay. I think initially, health, physical fitness has always been a part of my life. I think my initial gravitation was towards physical strength, being strong,
Okay.
I think I'm also, when I say that, I'm not talking about, necessarily deadlifting 1,000 pounds, but strength as in being healthy, being fit, being able to do what I want to do physically and not being limited, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So not setting, world records or anything, but being strong enough, healthy enough, fit enough to live the life that I want to live. Exactly.
Yep.
Awesome.
I like it. All right. What's the next one?
Next question was, what makes you feel the most self-respect? To be honest, I had the same three. So my things were, knowledge, strength, and then being great at what I do. So I kind of grouped those all together. Go ahead. Sorry.
Good. No, go.
Good. All right, moving along.
I'm just checking some of mine and just seeing. I want you to keep going. That's all.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Yep.
All right. So in your past, what accomplishments give you the greatest sense of pride? So this one you told me to be a little specific, right?
Yep.
All right. So one was getting a master's when I graduated my master's in education. Two was creating this YouTube channel. That was actually really, really exciting for me. It's kind of comfort zone, we'll say. I was never like a broadcast myself kind of person. So this was a very huge step
Way
for me.
outside of
And yeah, man, like I don't know who's
my comfort zone was
watching.
weird. We just went like way over there.
So I was very proud of this when I did this, especially when you came on and wanted to help me out. Teaching my students, I absolutely love doing that, and I'll also group in, not just my students when I'm teaching, but also when I was a personal trainer, teaching my clients new things. I like to be able to, put myself in a position where I can help others get better. So to me, when I say like teaching my students, I'm encompassing, all that. And then a very, very specific instance was, and generally I'm not a dwell on the past kind of person, but this was actually back in my senior year of high school. I had just finished my last football game of my senior career, and what our school always did is they had a nice little tradition of the seniors would line up on the goal line, and the team and coaches would walk by, they'd shake your hand, they'd say congratulations, thank you, like goodbye, all that kind of stuff. And one of my coaches kind of grabbed me, pulled me aside. Him and his wife had just had a son, and he said, "I hope my son turns out to be exactly like you." And that has stuck with me ever since that day, ever since I was 17 years old. It was like November something or other of 2006. So that to me was a very, big sense of pride, big day for me.
Yep. Huge. It's awesome.
Moving right along. How do you handle yourself in times of extreme stress? With me, I think I know myself pretty well. When I'm stressed out, I like to eat and I like to drink. I like beer. I'll kind of, dive right into those. And I'll also like just kind of stress watch TV, even if it's like something that's just on. I'm not really necessarily paying attention to. It's just kind of like blank staring, that kind of stuff. But that's definitely, I think, how I handle my stress. I would use handle loosely. It's not really handling anything.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean that was kind of it. Like handle stress.
I want to talk about that.
Bear it. Yeah, let's go for it, man.
So that brings up a lot of stuff, actually. So first off, everybody that's listening, we're going to get to eventually how to write goals.
Sure.
But stick with us, right? This is a process. We want to do it right. There's a lot to it. We don't want to just start picking goals and writing them, because it's literally like cutting things out of a magazine, putting them on a vision board, and it never coming to you, right? There's a system. It's literally a do A, B, C, and D and get the results, right? So we're getting there. This is a longer process than most people are used to, right? But we are going to get there. So for that question, it's interesting you put those things, because that's what a lot of people do, right? But I don't actually think that's how you handle stress.
Okay.
So that may be what you do at the end to decompress from the stress.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I don't, like, I've known you well enough. I don't think that's how you handle the stress. So I think, like, let's take, like, a good example for me is, like, it's the end of the game. It's in overtime, right? I'm a junior in high school. It's the first game I ever started. There's only 3 games in the state of Pennsylvania that weekend because some crazy hurricane came through. And it's 4th and 10 in overtime, right? And we got to score, we lose, right? Well, we run the play, and it's like, give me the ball, right? And we score and we win. Like, that's how you handle yourself under stress. Now, I might have a crazy adrenaline dump later and be like, I just need to watch TV, or like I went and ate like 50 wings at Quicker Steak and Lube. I was like, fine, right? So I ate, like you said, right? I ate. But eating was not how I handled the stressful situation, right?
All right.
So let's say your boss talks about a deadline, or you're like, man, I got to get ready because this podcast is coming, or like, look, I want you to redo that one.
Sure.
But that's important.
Well, do you want to? Like, we can talk it out right here if you want.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Then I think if I'm interpreting what you're saying correctly, it's your boss gives you a deadline. How do you do it? Do you tackle it right away? Do you put it off? Do you fret over it? Like that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Do you stress about it? Do you get anxiety? Do you try to avoid it? Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Where do you go when it's
That makes more sense, to be honest. All right, so then saying that, then
Which
I
is good
think,
because a lot of people probably did what you did. So this is
oh, I'm
good
sure,
if
yeah.
we're talking it through.
No,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why I want to talk it out because I think it's beneficial
Yeah.
for people to see this process.
Yep.
In that sense, then I'm a person where I don't like things hanging over my head. So if someone tells me I need to get this done, or if I decide in my head like I need to get this done, I'm going to do it. So I'm kind of a just get it done kind of person.
Yep. Right.
I think I'm trying to think here because I think because I do know that I have been like a procrastinator, but it's always been things that I've always never necessarily pushed to the forefront of importance, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
Well,
if
because it wasn't one of your core values.
exactly.
At the time, it wasn't. Right. Yep.
So I think if we're talking about it in that strictest sense of this is something important to you. If you're talking about whether you need to get something done, X, Y, Z, whatever, then yes, I think I'm a person who is. I'd rather get it done now, have it completed and finished and out of the way, as opposed to scramble, and try to throw something together at the end.
Yep. So, like, for me, one of mine, I guess, and I still want you, like, in the process, go back and look for a bunch of specific examples of this because it's going to help you pull out, I think, more values in your life.
Okay.
So, like, for me, one of mine is, um, hang on, let me look here. All right. So, boards was a huge one for me, chiropractic
Sure.
boards, right? Miserable. I don't take good exams. I don't take good written exams, whatever. Clinicals, bring it on. But hands on, give me real patience all day, right? I'll destroy it. But when it comes to written tests, that was hard. So for me, it was like, all right, I have these 6 exams I have to pass. I literally went into tunnel vision. I shut everything else out. I
Sure.
went with who I believed was the smartest kid in our class at the time, Chris. And I still think he was the smartest kid in our class, but locked it down. And we did crazy stuff. I drank black coffee for 6 weeks and ate Sour Patch Kids. That's it. I would literally leave class, I'd take a nap, I'd go to the gym, I'd meet him at the library at 7. We'd study until the library closed at 11:30 or 12. Then we would, I would go to bed. I'd sleep till 5. I'd get up and get the Starbucks because they opened at 5:30. Chris would get there at 5:30. We'd study till 7:30. We'd drive to class. We'd go to class all day long. Finish class at 3, take a nap, go to the gym, go right back at it. And literally drank black coffee and ate Sour Patch Kids for 6 weeks, right? And it's like what you talked about, like just handle it, right? Like you step into it. I don't back away from it, right?
Yeah.
Unacceptable to back away in my mind. So that will then help develop, again, my values down the road of how I handle extreme full stressful situations. So people can find them all over the place. You find them at work, you find them at home.
Sure.
What do you do? Let's say a loved one passes away and no one in the family knows what to do, and you're the one. Do you hunker down and deal with it, and do you set everything up, and do you get everybody together, and do you make it like where are you at in that spectrum? It's going to find your values, right? So for you, revisit it again because it is a longer one. Like re-sit down, and again, I'm like you. I'm like, all right, I don't got a lot of time for the past, but these are valuable things for us to kind of analyze because it's actually going to give us a look deeper into who we actually are.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want more of that. We don't want to have to deal with a stressful situation to become more of who we are. We just want more of who we are to show up every day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yep. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Hit me with the next.
Next one, what you want your reputation to be, or write your own obituary. So for me, a couple things jumped up. This is one of my longer ones. I had like 5 or 6. So one thing I want people to say about me is that he cared. So whether it's about relationships or career or whatever, I never want like the reputation of someone saying, he doesn't really care about anything, like that kind of stuff. So I want people to know that if I'm doing something, I'm doing it 100%, and that I genuinely care about what I'm putting my mind to. You know what? As I'm looking at these, I could probably group these like top 3 together because the next one is he worked hard.
Yep.
So again, that kind of I want people to realize again that what I do, I'm going to try to do to the best of my ability. 3 was he had passion. So same kind of thing. That's actually literally saying he cared in a different word. Actually, the next one is he was a great teacher or great at what he did. Again, cared, worked hard, passion, same thing. And then the last one, so those first four right there, I'm now realizing that I'm speaking it out loud, are essentially the same thing. And then the last one was that he helped others. So I want people to, know that. Like it's essentially what I've dedicated every part of my career to, whether it was, in personal training, it's helping people realize their fitness goals or teaching them how to, take care of themselves. Now as a teacher, it's helping the students develop, skills, motor skills, fine motor skills, whatever. So that's, I guess if I'm boiling it down to like two things now, it's I want people to know that I'm passionate about what I do, and that I want to help. I mean, that's the whole reason why I started this whole thing. This is for me. It's just getting information to people. So
Nope. So it's awesome. So this is another super important thing I think we need to cover just within this. So
sure.
I did these questions and I did the questions again and then I pulled them apart and I'm like, what is the common theme? And then there's 3 common themes and then there's 2 common themes and there's actually one common theme that overarches all of them or whatever that is. So this is good because one time sometimes isn't enough for people. Like you get it out and you have that emotional dump and you're like, oh, good. Mm-hmm. Now let's go back and re-ask the questions. Let's be like, all right, were those actually accurate or were those superficial things? Like dig a little bit deeper. And that's where I think a lot of people stop, right? They're like, all right, I got it out, I did it, or they just don't do that work on that end. But that's okay. If you don't do that work, this podcast probably isn't going to be for you anyways. So that's fine. But just call a spade a spade. But as you're seeing now, a second pass through, you're already realizing more than you realized the first time, right? Yeah. So it's good. Now we're mining that out, right? Like we're pulling these parts out of you that are like, holy shit, I thought I had like 10 things, but I really got like 4 or 5 values.
Really just repeated the same thing over and over.
Right, in just a different way. And so it's like, holy cow. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Moving along?
Yeah.
All right. So words people describe you as when you're not there, or how I would want them to, obviously, because I'm not there. 1 would be, hard worker. 2 is knowledgeable. 3 is selfless. 4 is intelligent. Realizing that's now the same thing as knowledgeable. 5 is strong, and then 6 would be dependable, which I guess dependable, selfless, hard worker, all kind of similar. So if I'm boiling it down, I guess, intelligent, knowledgeable, dependable, and, strong. Again, that's strong being not necessarily setting world records in the gym, but strong, physically, mentally, emotionally. Again, now that I'm, speaking it out, so I was about to say physically, mentally, emotionally, someone can depend on, dependable. So,
yep.
Awesome.
I like it. Tell me why you wrote selfless. I'm interested in that.
Selfless? I think, honestly, it's just how up. And I think it's almost a subset of being that dependable, strong, like knowledgeable person. Because I've always been of the belief that people who are in positions of, whether you want to call it a position of power or a position of influence or a position of a superior position, whatever. Again, superior is a weird word. Not that I think I'm superior to anybody. But people of those types of positions should do what they can to help people who are maybe not in those same positions. So whether it's, a personal, again, I'll just relate it back to my life. A personal trainer, I have the knowledge of, the gym. I have the knowledge of training. And it's my job to give that to people who don't have that knowledge, who want to better themselves and are, congratulations to them, are actually taking the steps to do that. Because there's a lot of people who don't know, who are too scared to, or just too lazy to, or just don't want to, take those steps to improve themselves. So that's why I guess that selfless, I think it's like a subset of almost what I'm trying to get my point across.
Yeah. So let me question those because today we're going to talk about beliefs, right? So let's question. I want to question that because this is important. So
sure.
Because what you just described to me isn't actually selfless. What you described is actually generosity, and we're going to actually transition that because that's one of my values.
Okay.
So, in order to become what you described, right, this figure that is able to then give back, right,
Mhm.
which is then generosity,
Sure.
not charity. There's a big difference, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to write it down because I don't want to forget that. Because those are two huge things in your consciousness. All right, so in order to be that figure, did you not have to actually be selfless? Like, did you not then actually have to focus only on yourself and never give to anybody else? Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying.
You had to be massively selfish to get to that place to be able to give out of your abundance.
Yeah. Okay. So I see what you're saying, because I think what you're almost kind of challenging here is that selfish has a negative connotation, and it doesn't necessarily need to be. Because what you need to do to put yourself in that position to help others is to look inward, be selfish in a sense, work on yourself till you get to a point where you can get that. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
People that view themselves as selfless usually are the people that are victims. They're followers. They aren't in control. Like, if you really pay attention to all that stuff, because someone who does everything you just described, right, does not view themselves as a selfless person. They view themselves as massively selfish with a massive area of generosity, right? Because they know that the more selfish they are, and people hate hearing this, but this is reality, the more selfish you are, the more than generosity you can provide for other people. And now here's a huge gap we need to talk about. So, I'm passionate about this one because generosity is one of my values. So, in this, there's massive subconscious connotations to everything we do, right? The subconscious is always on it. We'll eventually down the road get to podcasts about subconscious mind and conscious mind and all that stuff, but we're not going to go there yet. But charity. So if you give to quote unquote charity, what charity is it is someone who's not in power that you always have to be in a position of lack to receive.
Okay.
So to get charity and to give charity, right? So if I'm giving to a charity, I'm sowing the seed into consciousness that I need to constantly be in a position of lack so that I can receive. Because people that are getting a charity don't have, right? They are missing something, right? They're poor, they're whatever, they don't have a home. So they're getting charity. Now, when I give to you out of generosity, I'm giving to you out of my abundance, not to prevent lack, to create more abundance, because it's the generous thing to do. Your position is irrelevant in generosity, right? Like, let's say you don't have enough to pay rent. That's an irrelevant thing. So if I only give to you because I believe it's a charity, I'm reaffirming in consciousness that for me as a person to get more money and to gain good favor in life and to get good things and to have quote unquote luck or to have law of attraction, that I have to be in a position of poverty to gain ground, which is not the case, right? But if I give out of generosity, I'm saying that there's no link between that at all. I'm giving out of my own abundance because I have enough and I want to help these people grow. Does that make sense? And we can dive more into that again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100% get what you're saying. So I just want to kind of reiterate it just in case, maybe someone else wasn't able to, follow along. So what you're saying is, by definition of charity, it needs to come from someone who has to someone who does not have. There has to be that difference of someone having something and someone who doesn't. When it's generosity, I have a wealth of something and I'm giving of myself, not necessarily because you don't have something, but it's just so you can help improve yourself in some way. It's not I'm giving you something because you don't have it. It's I'm giving you something to improve yourself, not because you don't have, but because you're looking to also improve yourself as well.
Yes.
Okay. So then it boils down to like the intent, essentially.
Everything comes back to intent. I actually wrote this down somewhere and I grabbed the notebook because I wanted to find it. And of course, I'm going to have to look for it for a second. But this is important, so I actually want to look for this.
Yeah, man. No. It's take time.
Okay. So charity, the difference between charity and generosity. Charity is giving to people who do need it. Like you said, right? You need it.
Yeah.
Generosity is giving to people or someone who does not need it. Now, if you don't get into generosity, then you will never have more than you need because you will always be in a hand-to-mouth existence unless you practice generosity. If you're not willing to give to those who do not need it, then you will never give to yourself and you will always be in need forever.
I got you.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
That's actually a universal principle called sowing and reaping, which we should do an entire podcast on, because if you actually go way back to Rockefeller, he talks about how he gained his fortune was because he was sowing and reaping and literally walked around with coins and sowed and reaped coins. That's a whole other thing. But that's the entire principle of sowing and reaping. So if you do not believe that giving and generosity, then anyways, you're going to create that cycle of yourself of always having to be in need. We want to cut that shit off now.
Yeah.
So,
no, that makes sense.
This is good.
It's good.
Good. Go ahead.
Are we good? We're keeping going? We're still going? All right, here we go.
Let's keep going.
All right. How do you want people to respond to you? This one was a short one. I only had two, and we can dive into this a little bit. One was I want inspired. I want to inspire people. I want them to be inspired. I want people to, again, take my knowledge, see how I do, how I handle myself, and to be inspired to help themselves in a similar fashion. And the second one was respect, and it's not. I remember in my head I was thinking it's not respect as in like I want to like walk around and have people like kiss my feet. Like that's not the intent of it. Respect as in, and I'm really trying to figure out. There was a specific reason why I used that word, and in my head, I justified it to myself, and I'm having trouble thinking of it right now. Okay. Inspired, blah, blah, blah. Respect. More along the lines of, you know what? I guess it ties into the inspired thing. Again, it's not the respect as in like, oh, kiss your feet, blah, 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 you're so great. It's more of the, he really works at what he does. He's passionate about what he does. I want to be so inspired. I essentially wrote inspired twice in two different words.
That's all right. Inspired, respected. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. That was it, though. Those were the only two that I came up with.
Good. So do we have a condensed list now of your top 4 or 5? Because actually what you did is exactly what I was going to try and get you to do, was come up with – I wanted you to organize your values by priority. So
okay.
So I think there's about 4 or 5 in there, which you kept coming up with was like intelligence and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And then,
essentially the same thing.
Strong. So basically the same thing, but then strong. Those two repeated itself a lot. Definitely. And I'm sure there was more trying to.
I think, so, I mean, definitely intelligence, knowledgeable, whatever, that kind of thing. Strong,
right.
That whole kind of encompassing strength. Yep. I'll say strength.
And then.
I want to say the inspiration, I think, has come up in more than one way. Not necessarily the word inspiration, but when going back to the reputation, he cared, he worked hard, he had passion. To me, those are, inspiring characteristics, that kind of stuff.
Almost like adding value to other people's lives.
Hey. I might steal that.
That's good. So
we got 2 more. Do you want to keep going, or you want to stick on this for a little bit?
Keep going. Keep going. Let's keep going. Yeah, keep going.
All right. So this one I actually had a lot of fun with. It's Heart's Desire, No Limits, blank check. I really got to run wild with the imagination here. So my heart's desire is an isolated house on acres of land with my own gym. That to me is like my
to all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. Get a plane ticket up. So that to me is at least in that my head. That was just like jumping to my ideal situation, living wise, where I want to be. How I see myself being comfortable, happy, satisfied, whatever. Next thing was I want a damn lake house, man. I've always loved lake houses. Growing up, I had a friend, Chris Tortorella, good friend, going to be in his wedding.
There you are.
He had a lake house up in Lake Canandaigua in upstate New York. We used to go up there for a week or two every summer with all the toys, boat, jet ski, tubes, everything. It was hands down the like most fun like weeks of my life. Like always loved it. I would choose lake over beach any day of the week. So that's me. That's again one of my aspirations. Lake house. Next, I had the Top Health and Fitness Podcast. Damn right.
Right.
Next, I had kind of taking that. We'll call this next line A. I want this to basically become your one-stop shop for all things health, fitness, strength-related content. Whether it's the videos on YouTube that break down different exercises, whether I talk about different training programs, nutrition, whatever it is. This thing with you. I'm going to shamelessly plug myself for next week. I'm doing another little segment. It's called The Coach's Corner. I'm having a good friend of mine, Stephen Porty, come on. He's a coach, a trainer at Athlete Warehouse in New York. And it's just I want to bring in different trainers, different coaches, just to talk about, again, kind of what we're doing here. We're kind of just talking about what we want to talk about, health-wise, goals, values, wellness, whatever. But a little bit more direct in that training sense. So bringing in the actual coaches, trainers and stuff. So that's next week, Wednesday, I believe that's the 19th. We're going to live stream it at 3 p.m., but it's going to be on here. I'm going to save it. So, and then I'm going to double dip. So we got you coming on later. So we got that. I want to, eventually expand this to maybe having another, like my channel with live classes, whether that be bringing in like yoga instructors, people doing calisthenic like classes, spin classes, whatever, something where people can tune in, without the gym membership, the expensive gym membership. Maybe if someone just wants to, maybe they're uncomfortable at the gym, but they want to get a workout with someone, here, in their living room. Maybe they only have a couple like limited equipment things with, dumbbells or something like that. Limited equipment, stuff like that. So so that's, in my head, this is where blank check. If I could make this all happen, this is where I want this to go. So that's kind of where I went with the heart's desire, no limits. I'm thinking ambitious down the future, in the future, down the line, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So
awesome.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to wait to comment on that one until we get into more of what we're going to talk about next.
Sure.
So hit me with the last one, right? There's one more, I believe.
Yeah, last one. So describe your ideal self. First thing I had was husband, getting married soon. Father, hopefully that's a little bit more down the line. Happy. And then, inspire or help people to be their best selves. So those were kind of how I would describe my ideal self.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like it. For purposes, let's go through all my stuff another time.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But this is good. So, all right. Now you have the values.
Yeah. Man.
So, right. We talked about last time, change your values, change your life, period, because you're in control. So if you don't like something in your life and you analyze it, probably not congruent with one of your values. And or if it is, maybe your values isn't the best direction that you're headed, right? So we can change that. Again, everything's coming back. We are in control. We are in control. We are in control, right? And so a few things I want to kind of really push towards with people is that you are absolutely in control of where you're going in life, period, right? It may seem out of control, but if you take these steps, we're going to pull you back in. You're going to get refocused. And so you mentioned earlier, and I was going to talk about this later, but you mentioned earlier, and it's actually a huge thing too, right? So a lot of metaphysical teachers talk about the only thing you focus on from here on out, right, is where you want to be and how to get there. It's the future, period. That's what we're going to focus on. Sure. We don't want to focus on the past. I don't want to hear anyone ever tell the story about how they were broke again, right? Because all that does is hold in vibration you being broke, right? It's going to manifest more of it. We're going to give no more energy to that at all. We're going to cut that shit off. Done. All we're going to do now is focus on the future. And now we need to build the next step and the next vision of that future. So if you remember, it was values gave us our belief system.
Sure.
Our belief system gave us our expectations. Our expectations gave us our attitude. Our attitude gave us our actions. So we've done our values. Now we need to analyze our belief system, right?
Okay.
This can be very emotional for people, right? Because there's very emotional, right? So, and one of the things that's important here is that every belief you have about everything has been learned. It has been projected upon you. You have been
I 100% believe that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So you have learned all of your beliefs. So if you're not where you want to be in life, today we're going to question all of our beliefs. We're going to pick all of our beliefs apart and find out if they actually build value in our lives or if they're holding us back from what we want to then achieve in life, right? Because it is what it is. And Wayne Dyer said, what did he say? He said, you don't believe what you see what you believe.
Okay.
So it's the belief system that then projects your reality. And we see this everywhere. You can watch the news, you can do anything, right? You and me, and maybe not you and me, because we'll probably have pretty similar belief systems on a lot of things, but me and someone else could look at a situation, have very different belief systems, and interpret that completely different, right? I see something else. I look for the good in everything, which is something that we should do a podcast about, looking for the good, right? That should be a whole nother one we talk about. Because when you look for the good in every situation, more good is going to come, right? It doesn't matter how much shit's there. If you have the mental focus and you can just stay the course, right? This is good, and just pick 2 or 3 things that are good or you're grateful for that day. Oh my God, how your life can change, right? We do gratitude every day. Our daughter asked us, what are you guys grateful for? Boom. 2 or 3 things we're grateful for every single day, and they have to be different. You can't repeat them, right? You can't repeat what you just said the day before, because we want to constantly stress that mind. Because what happens is when we start to focus on the good, when we start to focus on what we're grateful for, right? Gratitude. A lot of people talk about unconditional love. Almost no one knows what unconditional love feels like. The next vibrations to unconditional love is gratitude. So let's get more into gratitude. Let's get in that vibrational state. So all day, let's look for what we're grateful for, right? So what happens is our mind, it's literally like people have said, training a muscle. When we start to go, all right, we're in a shitty situation. This fucking sucks, right? Well, now what we're going to do is we are going to find what we're grateful for in that situation. So our mental capacity goes to here. And then we look for what we're grateful for again, and we go here. And then we look what we're grateful for again, and we go here. Now we have this mind that's expanding and getting greater and more powerful and stronger, because we are conditioning it, and we are creating a belief system that no matter what happens to us, great things are coming, right? Because there's great things in everything. There's good in all. So when we look for the good and we expand that, our mind starts to build upon that. And at first it's going to be very hard. But as you do this for a year, 2 years, 3 years, soon you're going to start to realize you don't fit in with society, because all you do is look for the good. When they give you a problem, right, like COVID or whatever, you're just like, geez, look at all these amazing things. You can see dolphins in Venice. You can see the Himalayas for the first time in India. Like, you're looking around and I'm like, oh my God, the amazing shit that's happened. But no one's stopping and being like, look. So you start to condition this brain to look for the good. And when you start to look for the good, you start to feel happier. When you start to feel happier, you start to feel more self-esteem. Well, you start to feel more better self-esteem, and then that leads into more happiness, right? The whole trajectory of your life shifts. What happens when you start to feel good about yourself? What happens when you focus on the good? We're one big fucking magnet, so we just start attracting more good into our lives, right? It happens all the time. 100% of the time, this is the outcome that you're going to get. So now that we've kind of had that podcast about gratitude and gratefulness, we're going to come back and we're going to figure out our beliefs. You got anything?
For me specifically?
No, I didn't know if you were going to say something. So,
no, go for it. Keep going, man.
Your beliefs are the catalyst to activate all of your mental and physical faculties, right? What you believe is then going to literally activate an immediate emotional response, which is the mental response, right? And then it's going to an immediate physical response. So how you believe things. So what we want to do is we want to develop a very clear vision of where we want our lives to go, right? And that's where the goals are going to get. But we need to do a little bit more work first. So one of the things I'm going to challenge you in, and it's going to come down later with one of the things, is so your house that's kind of on all these acres and all by itself and all these things, right? I'm going to want so many more descriptions of that, right? Like you're going to live that life like you've been there for an entire week, right?
Okay.
So the first, and what we're going to do is we're going to create this. And then everything we do from now on, that is all we are going to think about. Every action, it's either taking us one step closer to it or one step farther away, right? So we're literally going to wake up in the morning and we're going to go, all right, is what I'm doing today, are my 5 critical tasks or 10 critical tasks or whatever we're going to do, taking me one step closer to this that I covet, or is it taking me one step farther away, right? And if it's taking you one step closer, you're going to start to get there faster and faster and faster. And we are not for a minute going to hold in vibration the past or not having enough money or not being able to pay bills or whatever this is. The second we get in that state, we're immediately going to start to think and envision that thing that we want, right? This is the quote unquote law of attraction, but this is all the shit they don't tell you, right? This is the principle in action because it is a law, right? You don't throw the word law in front of something unless it's actually a law, right? It is a law. And you can get there, and these are the steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to write down every single limiting belief that you have about yourself.
Okay.
All of them. You have to be so dirty and honest with yourself. It sucks, right? So this is important now. So write that down while we're doing this. So we don't have to do it back. So we're going to identify all our self-limiting beliefs this week.
All right. Good.
And then I guess we should backtrack a little more.
Sure.
And understand that because beliefs are learned, we can change any belief at any time. It just takes time and repetition. And that then puts us back in control and we are no longer a victim, right? And so because of this, we can believe anything we want, anything. And if we can believe anything we want, we can have any result we want at the end because it's values, beliefs, expectations, attitude, actions. So if we are fine-tuning the micro like we talked about before, the macro expression of what we're going to achieve in life has to follow suit. So you literally can achieve anything you want. So when everybody tells you can be, do, or have anything you want, this is what they mean. But they're literally they're not telling you the link, the breadcrumbs on how to get there. So what we're going to do is we're going to find these limiting beliefs. Now, we are going to act as if, well, before we act as if none of these are true, what we're going to do is we're going to take every one of these limiting beliefs that we have. And next week, I will walk you through probably how to do this, but let's take a stab at it before. So what I want you to do is take this limiting belief, write it down. Whatever that is. I'm not good enough. Fine. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now we're going to write the inverse of it. I am good enough.
Or do you want to, I can think of one right now. Do you want to, walk through, one?
Let's walk right through it.
All right.
You got a pen and paper? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, first one that came to mind was lazy.
Okay.
So that was always something that that I was told, but I was told I had lazy tendencies, blah, blah, blah. I think that's why a lot of my, important topics were to be strong, to be, an inspirational, knowledge, that kind of stuff. Because I think that to me, laziness to me is one of the worst things that anyone could ever call you, because that just means that you don't care.
Yep.
So that was when you were talking about self-limiting beliefs. That was one that I personally have felt that I've needed to overcome. Was that I'm lazy.
This is huge.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're going to do now is most people would write, I am not lazy. Well, you're still talking about lazy, so we don't want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So what you're going to want to do is now your new belief that we're going to imprint on your subconscious mind is just spitballing one of two things. Is I take massive action.
Okay.
Or I am action oriented. Right? Because you can't take massive action or be action oriented and be lazy.
Yeah.
Those two things don't go hand in hand. So now, where we fall short with this is people will tell you, all right, that's it. I take massive action. We're just going to stick with that one, right? I take massive action.
Sure.
You can go back and think what feels better for you. So you're going to say, I take massive action, and everybody's going to be like, just repeat it. Do affirmations, do incantations, boom, boom, boom. Here's the problem. You don't yet believe that you're action-oriented. You don't yet believe that you take massive action. So what happens is because you don't believe it, you actually reaffirm that you're lazy even more, right? This is why when we put a picture of something up on a vision board, like a Lamborghini, right? Let's just put that up there. You don't believe that you can have a Lamborghini, or you'd have it right now. So if the belief system isn't congruent with it, you're actually going to hold that Lamborghini away from yourself and never allow it into your experience because you didn't address the belief system that doesn't allow you to have it, right? Whatever that is. So if you just start telling yourself I'm action-oriented, you're not going to become action-oriented. You potentially could become even more lazy, and then you're going to be like, well, this doesn't work, right? So what you're going to do, and this then may take longer, and we can maybe do it verbally, but it's probably better that you do this on your own because it's you really want to be intimate with yourself and you really want to figure this out. And I want you to handwrite it. Do not do it on the phone, okay? Right. So what you're going to do is you are going to write, I take massive action 10 times. Mm-hmm. So you're going to write, I take massive action. Then you're going to write, I take massive action. Then you're going to write, I take massive action. And you're going to, whoa, this doesn't feel good. And all of a sudden, in that not feeling good of this, I take massive action, you're going to be like, well, so-and-so told me I'm lazy. Or I feel like I don't. Or I slept in yesterday morning. Or I feel out of control. Or whatever. You need to write down everything that tells you. Specifics. You need to be very specific here. What makes you not feel like you take massive action? Once you wrote all of those down, you go back to, I take massive action. Mm-hmm. I take massive action. I take massive action. Write it 3, 4, 5 times. Now all of a sudden some more emotions come up. Some more specific things come up that tell you you are not a person, Len, who takes massive action, right? And it's like it's fucking teasing you, right? Mm-hmm. You write all of those down. Then what I want you to do, that may be 5, 10. I've had it to where it's like 25 things, right? You're going to take, and it may be too exhausting, but I would say to do it then. I want you to do it, really want you to do it when it's fresh on your mind, right? Then you're going to take those things that tell you, so-and-so said you're not good enough, or so-and-so said you're lazy, or whatever. You're going to take that, and then you're going to put it on another piece of paper, and you are going to write every fucking reason that's wrong. I started this podcast. I have Coaching's Corner. Look how much action I fucking took already. Like, since we've been doing this, you've been taking a shit ton of action, right? Yeah. You're not lazy. You just hold the belief that you're lazy. So you're going to take every one of those beliefs and you're going to fucking prove to yourself why it's wrong. Prove it over and over again. Then you're going to go back, boom, and you're going to write, I take massive action. I take massive action, until you write that shit 10 times and your vibration is so high and you can run through a wall. And you're like, you're right. I am the kind of person that takes massive action. This takes time. This is the hard work. This is the work people don't want to do. This is why people say the law of attraction doesn't work. This is the roadmap. Do the work. Do the work, and you will get the result, and you will feel unbelievable about yourself. This is how you imprint the subconscious mind. You don't just say it, right? You literally force this new pattern, and I hate the word force, but you literally give this new suggestion, this new pattern to the subconscious, and repetition in the right way, where you get rid of the old and you rewrite the new, will change your life forever. And now, a year from now, 6 months, your new belief is, I take massive action. And holy shit, that belief, right? What that's going to accomplish in your life, right? It's awesome. So that's what I want you to do. So now everyone, write down all of your limiting beliefs. There might be 10, 15, 20, 40 limiting beliefs. You don't have to do them all right away. This isn't a race, right? All of our shit's recorded. If it takes one a week, if you get super emotional, if you get uncomfortable, if you cry, fucking awesome. Let it out. You need to experience this because the good is coming, right? This is what you need to go through. So do that. that if you do nothing else we talk about in this, first off, if you do none of this stuff and all you did was figure out what your top 2 priority values are in life, and you organized your entire life based off of your top 2 values, which so yours is what? Inspiration, intelligence, and being strong, right? If you asked yourself before you did everything, is this inspiring someone and is it making me more intelligent? Your life would change forever. It would be magic. But like I say all the time, let's stack the deck in our favor. Let's go deeper. Let's get there way fucking faster, right? Let's push. I want to push the boundaries, right? That's one of mine. Like, I want to test the limits. So, self-limiting beliefs, and we are going to prove to ourselves why they are all wrong and why it was just a belief someone gave us. I don't accept it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I'm in control because I'm not a victim, and I demand that my subconscious mind accepts this as my new belief, acts it out because I am in control. It's the same exact thing, right, dude? We were doing the 5-minute wall squats or the 5-minute lunges or whatever we were doing, right?
Yeah.
Your body wanted to quit, but you told yourself with your mind, no, this is what we're doing. This is what I want, and you are to act it out now. What did your body do? It figured out a way to do exactly what you wanted it to do because you exerted your willpower and your mental faculty, and it impressed it upon the body, and the body did exactly what you told it to do. This is absolutely no different. So every belief that you have that is limiting is not true. We're going to prove why it's not true, and then we're going to imprint exactly what we fucking want, period, right? Massive, massive. So then the next question I want you to ask yourself, after you've gone through all these self-limiting things, because we're not going to end on a negative, right? The next thing I want you to ask yourself is, what belief would you most like to have at the deepest level? And what, if you know what that is now, or if you need to think about it more, that's fine.
Okay, you want me to write this down or actually answer?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. What was the question? What belief do I?
And this may change between now and next week as you go through this. Yeah. So the belief that you would most like to have at the deepest level possible. What belief, if you could hold one new belief at the deepest level possible, would it be? And it may very well be that I take massive action. That might be it, right?
Kinda. I'm gonna put my own little twist on it though. I think.
Well, you need to do that. Don't
exactly.
just do.
Yeah. So the first thing that jumps to my mind, the one belief that I can hold at the deepest level is I can do it.
So that's, you do not feel that now. That's the one belief you want more than anything, is I can do it. Correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so are you asking me something that okay? Let me clarify then. Something that I don't feel that I want, or something that maybe, because as of right now, I definitely think I can do anything I put my mind to, but I think there's always that creeping doubt. So that to me, it's not something that I don't believe I can do, but I think it's one of the more powerful things, or it is the most powerful thing that you can tell yourself and that you can believe is, yeah, fucking do it.
Perfect.
Okay.
So the thing I'm going to challenge you with then is that you actually don't believe you can do it.
Okay.
Because where you're holding yourself right now is like, you can't be lazy and do it, right? You basically just point to me exactly why you don't believe it yet. But we're going to change. We're going to change, right? Like, this is going to be amazing. So the deepest belief that you want is that I can do it. I do not want you to start writing I can do it. Okay? You have to. It is very important for everybody listening, and especially everybody. You have to go through the self-limiting beliefs first, and you have to explain to yourself why they're wrong. Then you change that vibration. And what you'll do is find out, it's okay to ask yourself first, what is the belief that I would most like to have at the deepest level? Ask yourself that first, because as you go through your self-limiting ones, that one's probably going to over and over and over, or change, right? It may change. I don't know. I don't know what all of yours are, right? I know I had a shit ton of them and was like, this sucks. Like, I don't know. Feel good. But by the time I'm done, I'm like strutting out of the coffee shop like, well, let's go. Like, we got this. And understand it may not manifest instantaneously, but life's going to change, and it's going to change for the better. So go ahead and ask yourself, what is the deepest one that I want, and then go through those self-limiting beliefs. As you go through those self-limiting beliefs, that one may come up 2 or 3 times. Boom, now you're on to it. Now, when you go and you're finally at the point where you're like, what is the one, like, right, I can do it, right? Fine, that's the one. Now, you're going to do the exact same thing you did with the self-limiting beliefs. You're going to write, I can do it. 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 And when you get to number 7, all of a sudden, all these thoughts are going to creep up. You're not going to be focused on I can do it. And it's going to be like, oh my God, this emotion, I can't do it. Well, I didn't do it when I was 12 years old and I took the winning shot and it didn't make it, and blah, 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 blah. Write those down, all of them. And once you write all those down, you are going to flip it and reverse it, just like we did the other ones, back to why you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Now you're imprinting again why you can do it. You're ridding the body of these old bullshit beliefs. This is the dirty work, right? This is the hard work that no one wants to do. I promise everybody that's listening, if you do this over the next 12 months, life is going to change like crazy. And we will get to writing goals, I promise. But I'm not going to tell you to write goals if you can't do this stuff, because then you're never going to get to the goals. And it's just going to be another book sold or another podcast listened to that didn't get you where you wanted to go, right? And it was just more pseudo bullshit to just sell this stuff and be more self-help. We're going to get down to the real shit here, right? We're going to deliver content that matters, okay? And then we're going to start taking massive action. And just in the act of doing what we're doing right now, you're proving to yourself that you take massive action. So, Len, how can you possibly be lazy if you're going to go do what I just talked about? Because it takes massive action, and 0.0001% of the population actually takes that action. I think something like 1% of people finish a book that they pick up. 1% finish the book from cover to finish. Like maybe it's 4. I don't know. Whatever the statistic is, it's like, oh my God, we live in a society.
Yeah, astoundingly low.
Right. We live in a society that starts everything and finishes nothing, right? We're a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah.
You have to take massive action to finish. And I promise you, right, if you do all this stuff, and I guarantee that this is a reality, if you do these things, your best days in life are yet to come. I don't care if you're 80 years old. If you do this, better, happier, healthier, stronger, more fun, more abundant days are what awaits you if you just get in touch with this, right? And so there's some more things that I would like to do, but I think this is a lot. I think it's heavy, and I don't want to project into those next things until we really started to dive deep into these limiting beliefs. Yeah, then we're going to go ahead and work on the next stuff. But, you know, there's a saying that I teach my daughter, right? And we say it all the time, and she says it all the time. And I know Emile Coulier talked about it, and then I believe Silva repeated it. But the saying goes, every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better and better, right? That's something that we repeat to ourselves all the time. And I promise you that's exactly what's happening here, right? Every day and in every way, you're getting better and better and better. It's awesome. Awesome.
Right. I dig it. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. By the way, before we wrap everything up, happy birthday, man.
Wow. Thank you. Somebody must have told you that wasn't me.
I may have gotten a text, a little texty text. Because you're not, dude, and I'm the worst person with birthdays. So if you're not on Facebook, man, I don't remember your birthday. So I apologize. But happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So
cheers. Lobster medallions for dinner. Cheers.
Cheers to you, bud. And yeah, we can continue this next week, man.
Next week we'll get deeper and deeper.
We'll dive back in. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody who will watch in the future. And I hope this, at least helps someone.
It's going to help. I love it.
All right.
Do the dirty work, guys. Get your hands dirty. It's going to be awesome.